Batman Superman World's Finest, issue 9, Mark Waid writing with Dan Mora on the art. So we have Boy Thunder, the Superman sidekick that's been introduced for the last couple issues. I don't know if you have any general thoughts on this arc before this issue.
I'm liking the arc more than I did the Neja stuff overall. Not super keen on Boy Thunder as a character just yet. It feels very much like he's there for the other characters to have a lesson to learn, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to being a character in his own right.
It feels like he's probably going to be dead or gone in some way by the end of the story.
Or a villain.
Yes. Yeah. So, no, obviously Mora's art here is gorgeous. You know, Batman sneaking up behind, you got this, you know, rat catcher stuff. The rats look great.
That page with all the rats, like on the top panel, is phenomenal.
Yeah, with them screaming. No, that's good stuff. So it's this idea that Boy Thunder goes a little bit too far, and he has to learn. Although I do, just because I'm on the Joker page, because I'm just going through it as I'm talking. The front cover with Joker saying, you know, oh, a new sidekick as he's holding a crowbar. I actually think that's quite funny.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know, that appeals to me. So Joker's working with the key. He's got something from the Angler, which has its own little joke in it as well, because he's like, oh, did you get it willingly? Yeah, not quite. And like the guy's hands just like dangling
coming
from
off. Yeah.
You know, I like Wade's voice for Joker. It's a very, you know, Silver Age animated series style Joker. You know,
I mean, it's very much an animated series take on it as well.
Yeah,
I can hear Hamill saying a lot of these lines. I don't know if part of that is more. It's not in the face, but the way Mora poses the Joker feels very much from that. Like if you look at, it's right after he's messing with the finger, he's prizing the hand off. It's the panel underneath where he's just, you know, bowing down very slightly. That feels straight out of like animated series Joker. The posing.
Yeah. Superman's talking to Barry for some advice on training a superpowered psychic because he has experience in that, which I thought was a nice touch. And they're dealing with stuff, and it turns out that there's these like pirates on this ship, and Superman ends up saying, "No, we can just stay back," because I think, you know, basically implying that he sees that someone else is already dealing with it. And we see Aqualad, and then we see the rest of the Titans, and it's a Titans thing, and David Boy Thunder is there again. And he's joking around with them, and everything's going quite nice until there's one pirate left that takes some shots at Aqualad, and he immediately powers up and is probably going to completely fry this pirate if Superman didn't step in and sort of uses his stern voice. My favorite thing about this whole issue might actually be Dick whispering, saying, "I know you can hear me, Superman. Don't do this in front of his friends."
It's that, and well, that's the more serious point. That is obviously the best part.
Yes.
I kind of really love the bit at the very bottom with Dick just shoving Roy, and you just see the arrows come flying out the quiver, just off panel like that.
Well, this follows on nicely from the previous couple of pages where Roy's basically given David all the wrong advice. Where he's like, "No, use your anger. You know, hit harder back." Like he's giving him all the wrong advice. That's like the opposite of what Superman's been telling him. So having Dick just shove him, it's like, yeah, he's a chump. He deserves it. Basically.
Yeah, like I think it's interesting because Roy's fine at first, because he just burns the guy's hand, and they're like, "Do you really need to burn him? Can you not just do a flame blast to scare him?" It's like, yes, on a ship of oil, that'll go down well. I kind of feel like he made the right choice there. Like a burnt hand is not excessive, unreasonable force. I don't think. I think, you know, Batman on a daily basis does just as bad.
Yeah,
like that's something it'll hurt, but that'll heal. It's not not crippling him for life or anything like that.
But I don't think Superman would always like burn like the gun, so the gun's too hot to hold, or something like that. It would always be,
probably, yeah.
You know, so you know that's kind of the difference, I guess. But yeah, but I love Dick sort of doing this because I love that it's like Dick's very much the leader of the Teen Titans. And I love this idea that, look, he's been getting on well with us, don't embarrass him, right? Take him away and like give him the stern talking to that we all know he needs, right? Like the Titans are all very clearly know that he's what talk they're about to go and have. But you So I really like that. I thought it was a great character moment for Dick, and it was just an example of like Waid just like he understands these characters like in such a great way. So really loved that. The big revelation from David is that he admits that he is in some way to blame for his parents' demise. That the parents were building a ship in advance, and he didn't really believe that it was necessary. So he ended up playing some practical jokes, and it ended up destroying the ship. So they only had time to build a small one for him to escape. So he feels responsible for the death of his parents, which
I will say this is probably my biggest problem with this issue from an actual writing structural standpoint. I don't like how we don't get Superman's response to any of this. There's no reaction here. It just cuts to a different scene at the end of this.
That's probably fair.
Like, I know it gets interrupted, but the way it cuts to Gotham, it feels really jarring, and it feels like even if there's just a panel of Superman in silence before he can react, and then it interrupts.
I think that's basically all it is one panel of his face. Like that's all that's missing, because it makes sense that you cut to like the crisis is about to interrupt him. Like it makes sense to cut to that pretty quickly. It's just one panel of Superman reacting.
Do you know what I think it is? If you go 2 pages in, you can actually see Superman starting to react, and then he's reacting then because he's hearing the stuff in Gotham. I think you need that panel before you cut to Gotham to see what's happening.
Yeah. So basically, there's a giant door in Gotham. It's just in the middle of the street, right? But it's obviously like a magic door, because when it opens, it's like a portal to the bottom of the Gotham River. So all this water starts flooding the streets. So obviously, Batman's already there. Superman is called in, and they're just saving people. But we find out from Joker and Key up top that this is just a distraction. So we don't know what their goal actually is yet. But so some great pages here of the water in the city, the cars floating in the water, Batman's on top of a car. Superman tries to reverse the spread of the water by doing like a vortex in the water on the other side. And then Batman closes the door. I'm not entirely sure why, other than just sort of banging it to make it close, this works. But it is a pretty cool little sequence of like him driving the Batmobile like up and like off a piece of rock or whatever, so he goes flying and just hits the top of the door, which makes it shut. It's a fun sequence, very Hot Wheels-esque.
Yeah, it looks great, and any excuse for Mora to draw a cool action sequence is, I think, the logic as to why this works.
Very possibly. But another little door, little portal door opens just in the last page, and the Joker grabs David through this portal. So they've effectively kidnapped Boy Thunder. And the last page, David's like laughing, as if he's just been dosed with the Joker gas, and that's your cliffhanger for next time.
I actually really like how terrifying Joker's looks. Just it's when you can just see the smile in the silhouette. That's a great little panel.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks great throughout. Like I don't think there's a bad panel in the whole book.
No.
The action's great, the expressions are great, the coloring's fantastic, and you have just these wonderful scenarios where you get to have these big flooding the streets moments, or whatever the other panels might be. There's a nice variety of different scenarios and locations to be in. So it's all very good. Yeah, you've got the dark and spooky opening with all the rats, which looks great. So yeah, very little to complain about. I'm enjoying the arc, and I'm David himself might feel like a guest star for the sake of having the story, but I do think all these other characters are having really good moments in how they handle them.
Yes.
And that's kind of where the meat of it is. So, because...
Yeah, I think I'm enjoying it more than the first arc so far.
Yeah.
Not that I thought the first arc was terrible, by any means.
No, it's good stuff. So, all right, what are you giving World's Finest issue 9?
I'm probably going to give it an 8. I don't think it's quite at the 8.5, but it's close.
Yeah. I think I will go the 8.5. I think I'm willing to go up there. I think the great character moments and then the spectacular art just kind of push it up there for me.